What is up, guys, and welcome to another episode of my HLTV Fantasy. Today we are looking at Perfect World Major Shanghai 2024 Elimination Stage. Here you can see my lineup for the opening stage, and it was mixed, I guess. The Mongols and Pain players did very well in Senzu, Techno, and Kawaz, especially, of course, the Mongols guys going very cleanly through. Look at these ratings. Look at these. Right, roll successful. It doesn't tell you their actual ratings. But, and these were only T-side ratings, okay. Either way, very impressive stuff. Very nice from Kawas as well. And Fnatic was way worse than I thought they would be. I didn't even necessarily expect them to go through, but mind you, that I was like, they have a shot probably at making it through, or they might be a 2-3 team. But I expected a lot more from someone like Blamaf. I expected that if Blamaf does well enough and Crims, or Fnatic in general do okay, Crims could be fine. Unfortunately, that didn't really happen. But still, top 15%. In the end, we will take that and rise a little more in the fantasy leaderboards. So overall, still very nice results for the major so far. If you didn't see, I already posted my pick'ems, and you can, based on that, probably infer some of my ideas on some of the teams. And how I feel like they are as fantasy options, because generally speaking, you want to pick players that you expect to win. Here's some of the most picked players. I think it's cool to see that there's a fair amount of divide between picks. Like Alexi B and Rain are the best pick or most picked players by a decent margin, but after that it's very even. And I think it just tells you that there's a lot of decent teams that could very well go 3-0 and could essentially be great value for the money. I haven't actually looked too deeply into the player prices. I can see that Navi is very highly priced, which makes sense. You would expect them to do well here. Alexi B is even pretty expensive at this event, like 195 for Alexi. Yeah, sure, he's probably gonna win most of his games. I did predict them to go 3-0 alongside Vitality, but still Alexi B is not that great of a fragger. It's a hefty price for him, I think. But, you know, he might be worth it. Who knows? G2 could go for a Nico pick for 215, but I'm not that convinced of him. I think Zaiwu for 230 could be just fine as a pick. You'd probably pair him with like Apex and maybe Mezzi. I think Vitality in general is actually looking pretty good here. I like Mezzi and Flames as picks. Spinks is a bit on the expensive side. I would probably not go towards him. And Apex hasn't been fragging very well lately. I would say Flamesy and Mezzi. Probably the standout picks from Vitality alongside Zaiwu. For Spirit, I don't feel as highly for them. I feel like they kind of got through a bit easier than someone would have expected. I still think they're gonna make it through this stage, but I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't make top 8. I wouldn't actually pick any of the Spirit guys here. I feel like I'm gonna ignore Spirit completely. The prices aren't there. It's not. I'm not expecting them to just destroy this opposition. I feel more highly about Mouse, for example. I think Mouse could have a really good event. I like Jimmy as a pick. Borgi's generally pretty reliable. Juhei is pretty expensive even. I guess the rankings are very close to each other here. Dershan, yeah. Brolan, maybe. I think that two standouts to me here, price-wise, are Torji and Jimpat, though. I think these two I would consider the most. If you want to go for Mouse. But again, like, you need to make some cuts somewhere, so maybe you go for a Shuei. For FaZe, Rain is the second most picked player in the event, and I think that makes sense. Under 200k, they should advance. I don't think they're going to go to or 3-0. I think they could have some struggles. Roki for 203 as well, though. That's actually a crazy price to me. Interesting. I mean, this duo is under 400k. It's interesting at the very least. I think Rain and Brokey. But Brokey has also been very inconsistent. I don't know what to expect of him. Props could be a decent pick. I don't know. FaZe is weird to me. I probably ignore them, but I wouldn't fault anyone for going with basically any of these players, because any one of, especially everyone except Carrigan, can pop off very hard, and even Carrigan is usually decent enough. So if you expect FaZe to go like 3-1, for example, go for them. It's fine. Heroic, I'm actually pretty bullish on. I think they're gonna do fine. I really like Tesses as a pick. I think these prices are pretty fair. I like the two Danes a lot. I think Tesses has been great lately. Shush is just reliable. Dexter I wouldn't go for. He's like explosive, but his stats haven't been there. Ixon actually kind of fine lately. Could be the 180k player to go for, at least from what I've seen. Let's actually check out what the stats say. So yeah, at the major actually so far, very impressive stuff. And apart from that, also honestly for his price, he might be worth it. Heroic is playing who first? Big. Like, I think Kixon actually could be a nice cheap option to go for if you want to go for some of the other expensive players. It could even be Tesses and Kixon. I think Tesses offers great value for money here. And Nerds, of course, like he's the best player on the team, bragging wise, and he's been performing lately again. So I wouldn't be shocked to see him be like one of the best picks here. But 215 is a hefty price, so I think if I had to pick between these two guys, I would go for Tesses every time. I'm not looking at Furia. I think it's crazy that they're top 8 instead of Mongols in the rankings. Actually kind of weird ranking. But yeah, I'm not looking at Furia at all. I think they might be 0-3 candidates. Mongols, I expect to actually make it. Do I want to pick them? Not really. I think it's weird because a lot of them are still over 200k, except for Techno. I think there's better, cheaper options, generally speaking. Maybe Techno is like a fine pick. I feel like he's a bit underrated as a player in general. He plays just fine. Senzu, actually, kind of a crazy price for him when he's been really reliable for this team. And I would say, like, yeah, if Mongols do well, Senzu as a pick is not bad at all. I might go for some of these Gamblier picks as well. I'm not opposed to it. They're playing G2 first round, which could be bad or seen as bad, but I also don't think it's unreasonable to think that they could beat G2 in a best of one. It's just that their seeding is still bad enough that they're generally speaking going to play against one of the better teams, even if there's some upsets. But I would consider Mongols. I think this is a great fantasy event, by the way. There's just a lot of options. I don't personally think Liquid is going to make it through. I don't think they have any players that I would really consider. Yekindar is too inconsistent. Twists and Naf at these prices look juicy, but who knows what they're going to look like in this stage. I wouldn't bet much on them advancing. Pain is actually great as a potential pick. I really like Kawes. Of course, he did well for me last stage. 184, so 4k more than Kixon, but I do think the individual level is higher. But I also do expect Heroic to make it through, whereas I don't think Pain will make it through. Other than that, I think there's great options here. Like, if you think Pain is gonna advance, essentially all of these players could be great value for money. Now we get to like the picks where I feel I will probably not go towards them. Like 3D Max is decent, but fragging wise they usually don't do that great. And especially I think this step up in the level of competition is going to be too much. I think they're great at playing against those teams that they had to play to make it this far. And they of course advanced straight through this stage instead of some of the other teams. Like, they didn't have to play the opening stage, and I think that could be a disadvantage for them as well, skipping a stage and not getting those reps in. So I'm not very bullish on a 3D Max. MIBR, I think MIBR, Big, Gamer Legion, Wildcard, all are teams that I just don't think are that great. I don't feel like they are gonna do well enough to warrant the picks. Like if you wanted to go for a Gambly, Fozy, or Susp has actually been very impressive, I think, this event, just in general, like at the level he's playing. Sure, go for them. I'm not gonna hate on you for going for one of these guys as a cheaper option. But personally, I don't feel like I need to go for them. So where does that leave me? There's so many options, actually. This could end up being a pretty long video, potentially. Depends on if I find something I like early. So, like, the problematic part for me, like, if Mouse had an earlier or easier first opponent, I think I would love to go for Mouse, but I actually think Pain Mouse could be an upset contender. I think the most interesting potential upsets, like, I think Mongols could beat G2. I think Furia could actually beat Spirit, which is weird to say, but I don't rate Spirit very highly currently, even though I think they will end up making it through. I think Pain could beat Mouse. I do think Wildcard could beat Face, but I'm not gonna actually put that here. I think those are the two big potential upsets. I'm just very high on Pain, I think, is the thing. I think Kixan might... It's between like Kixan and Hawes as a budget enabler to me. And I think Kixan is just 4K. We can probably do a lot of good stuff with that. I'm also high enough on Heroic to go with Tesses. I feel like this team is just gonna do well here. That actually opens up quite a lot of money for me. Like, can we actually go for something like a Saiwu lineup? We could. We definitely could. Ooh, Rain. Or Techno. Well, probably not Techno. I think Rain is a better pick than Techno, generally. I would rate Rain more than Techno. I think that's where it becomes difficult to pick like a team like the Mongols. I think there's just too many better options, or generally speaking, higher value options. Can you go for like a Mezzi instead of Apex? It becomes more difficult. You'd have to go for like a Carrigan or a Kawes, I guess. Like, this is not horrible either. But also, I don't hate the idea of just going more spread around on the money, and probably that would mean something like Navi for me. Can I go double up on the big Navi guys? Like, even a bit? It's also possible, yeah. This isn't actually too bad at all. And of course, look, I really want to see Navi win games, and I really want to cheer for Navi. I feel like Jail and Ime could be the kinds of players who really step up at this major. I do like Kawes as a pick. How does Kawes generally do against like higher tier opposition? Is there like huge difference? I guess so. Yeah, he does a lot weaker. But it's a low sample size. Like, let's look at here. I guess, yeah, his rating is a bit inflated due to playing like these kinds of opponents. When's the last time they played against FaZe here? He didn't do very well. Against Mouse here, he didn't do very well. What about Kixan then? Kixan has been... It's hard to differentiate between, like, do you rate recent results or results against similar tier opposition more? Because, like, farming against Passion UA as Heroic isn't as interesting. Like, I'm not that interested in this. This can inflate your rating quite a lot. It is difficult, but you need to make some choices on cheaper players. I really like Tesses. I think Tesses is almost a lock in my team, actually. Similarly to how Blamef was a lock in the last stage. But I do think Heroic is actually going to do well here. I don't see them as a... I think they're... Maybe I'm too high on Heroic, to be honest. Might be... They might just be like a 3-2 team or 2-3 team. Like, if we go with, like, always the favorite winning pretty much here, like, Heroic beats Liquid, yeah, then they play Spirit, and then they might have to play a team like the Mongols here. Kind of crazy. Maybe I'm too high on them. But who's like the best cheap options then? Like, should I just go more balanced and have like a Shuhei Jimmy? I also want to root for Jimmy, of course. I think Mouse usually does well at these stages. But I don't want to go for Alexi B. I don't think Kixon means that I can even go. Well, I could go. But I don't know if I want to go for Alexi. Damn, this is actually difficult. There's so many options. I think Vitality might be worth it. I do like Mezzi. Mezzi has been low-key kind of great. At the major, that's of course 4 maps, but how good is this? Not that great. But they didn't do that well here. When Vitality do well, this is actually pretty good as well. Oops. Maybe it's not Mezzi, but I do think Flames is actually a great pick. Maybe it's like Apex Mezzi? Apex Flames? Oh, I would love to have Tessis as a third here. Is there a way with like this? Is this enough? No, 2K still missing. Maybe just go like this. Flames. Go for Tessis now. I think Tessis is just... I just want to have Tessis is the thing. I think he's locked in as 5th for me. I don't think we're going double up on Heroic, but I do think we're going for him. But it becomes difficult now. You can definitely not go for a setup for... Or that is not 2-2-1 in these, because it's too difficult to predict who's gonna go like 3-0 anyways. I feel like. I don't think... I think someone like Mega could be insane pick here, though. He's been so consistent lately. $82. Not feeling any of those cheaper guys, like super cheap guys. Apex either if I don't go for like... Man, these Navi players are so expensive. But I don't feel highly on G2. I think they're gonna make it through, but I don't think I like them that much, to be honest. Wait, if you go Torji Brolan, you can get Tessus. And then Flames Apex or what? Wait, what did we have? No, we had Shuhei. Can we do like... Yeah, this is 1k off Apex. I was thinking, yeah, that doesn't work. Could be Rain as a budget enabler here. And then like what, Shuhei, Jimmy. But still not enough for that. Still missing like 2 grand. I think these are like some of the best value picks here though. I've seen Rain super well at majors before. I wouldn't be surprised to see it here again. I think Tessus is just playing at a really high level currently. Even if I'm not super high on Heroic, I do think they're gonna advance. And I think he's gonna personally do well. I think Jimmy makes so much sense and Flamesy makes sense. But like 186 is a weird price point. Jimmy isn't that... I'm not that high on Jimmy as a pick in this situation. Go Apex. 203. There's some options here. There's like Brokey. But I'm not sure if I'm that high on Brokey. Then again, like, I do think they're gonna make it through. 203 for Brokey. He's so hit or miss. It's a gamble, but this lineup actually looks kind of sick. I'm not that high on Apex. Like, that's weird to me. Why am I not that high on Apex? How well has he been playing lately? Individually. Takes a long time to load that. Yeah, the major has been not great. What is this? The RMR, I guess. Recent stand results just don't scream a great pick to me. I think it's Snacks. Techno is probably a better pick than Apex, generally speaking here. Do Techno stats fall off against higher tier opposition? Somewhat, but this is more like a normal level of falling off. This looks pretty good. Essentially this kind of strategy doesn't rely as much on my teams winning all their games. Like when you pick a player like Alexi B or like an Apex or even a Snacks, you're really reliant on the fact that your team is gonna, or this team is gonna win their games. This is a very balanced lineup as well. I'll just reorder it, but I think this is the actual lineup I'm gonna go with. It's a very interesting lineup. Okay, I'm gonna go for like a weird ass symmetry here. It's like Techno. S is in the center because he's important. Then Rain. And then Mr. No wait, not Rain yet. Was it Flames we had here? Yes, and then Rain. I kind of like this. Lineup. I'm not gonna lie. Let's look at the roles as well, though. I think it's gonna be something like this. A lot of high headshot percentages. I think Tessa should probably have it though. Rain doesn't get as many entries. It's gonna be a nightmare to roll, I guess. 3150, 58, 31. Okay, so does anyone else have? Yeah, okay, we probably do this then. Multifragger. 4038 is actually pretty great. There's some other headshot users. Sure, Multifragger on Tessus. It's like Rain versus Techno, and the headshot's probably gonna be Rain. $44.40. It might be Techno. An entry on Rain or what? 2159. That actually kind of makes sense because there's nothing great on Techno. Yeah, no. It's actually gonna be entry on Rain, which makes sense to some extent, and then here. And then on Brokey, probably gonna have to be main op. Better than support here. Yeah, let's go main op. Hope they get him some ops. Like support isn't actually low. Isn't low, but it's more inconsistent, I guess. Okay. Role-wise, I'm not super excited. But other than that, I think this is a pretty good lineup. I think we've picked some of the highest value options at a lot of the price points. Like I think Techno and Rain around this 193, 194 are probably gonna be better than Apex unless Vitality really roll over their opponents. But I think it's gonna be pretty tight games. And if it's gonna be tight games, I'd rather have the better individuals from a lot of these teams. And I think I have a lot of the good individuals. Like we know what Brokey is capable of. Flamesy is still one of the better picks or players on Vitality. Tessus has been in insane form. We know Rain in majors can do really insane stuff. He's won a major MVP not that long ago. And I think Techno is actually an underrated player on this Mongols roster. He's pretty decent. Again, I'll do the booster stuff off screen. You can check the link in the description. There's going to be a link to my lineup on HLTV, and I'll have the boosters applied there. I think you can see them from there. Maybe not actually, but either way, I don't want to do that on the video. So yeah, if you enjoy this kind of content, please remember to leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.